Morning to everyone. Very good morning to everyone. So today we'll be doing the weekly analysis of the. Let's begin. Okay, so today I'll be discussing about what world trade boom keeps deglobalization at bay. So even if its force is diminishing, reports of globalization's death. So what is the article talking about? It is saying that the report of globalization's death may be greatly exaggerated. So what is globalization's death? Or you can say what is deglobalization? So globalization is what? Interconnectedness. So deglobalization will be what? Reducing, or you can say reduction of interdependence interconnectedness of economies. And this is happening through what? Like interdependence, interconnectedness is getting reduced, and this will lead to what? Decrease in trade, decrease in investment, and also decrease in cooperation. So this is what deglobalization is. Now, what has happened? See, some experts are of the opinion that the world is undergoing deglobalization, and why do they feel that the world is going deglobalization? Because they say that there has been a lot of trade tensions between the countries. There has been a rise in protectionist policies, and you can also say that because of COVID-19, that means COVID-19 talked about more of self-sufficiency. So COVID-19, so all these parameters have led to what? All these parameters have led to re-evaluation of trade and prioritizing domestic industries. So these are probably the reasons why the world is shifting towards deglobalization, and how eventually uh, these trends have led to rise in deglobalization. Now, if I go in detail that what is probably the reason, so these are few reasons that I have discussed with you. Now let's do some reasons in detail. That means what has actually led to deglobalization, or is leading to deglobalization. See, uh, one, you can say because of COVID-19, what happened was that a lot of policies of the countries are more nationally driven. So nationally driven policies are there. That means uh, these nationally driven policies are actually leading to what? Prioritizing of domestic interest. Prioritizing domestic interest over international interest. So, first reason is nationally driven policies. That means the countries are getting more centered towards their domestic interest. Good morning, Amulya. Good morning. So, the countries are getting more centered towards domestic interest rather than international interest. So, one reason is this. Now, in some of the places, what we have witnessed is tightening of FDI norms. So tightening of FDI norms is that means this foreign direct investment is also a signal towards what? That means there's a lot of you can say restrictions that have been imposed. So imposing of restrictions, imposing of restriction which has led to tightening of FDI norms. Okay. Now there's one more thing that you must have heard about is that decoupling is there. That means countries are actively trying to reduce economic interdependence with others. And this process or this is known as decoupling. So reducing economic interdependence with others, and this is happening in some critical sectors. And what are those critical sectors? Critical sectors like technology, manufacturing, etc. Fine. Other than this, when I said that the policies are more nationally driven, you can also say that the issue of regionalization is also there. That means people, or you can say the countries are more prioritizing their regions. So, yes, you can also talk about regionalization here, and you can say that regional trade agreements have also led to what? Um, Strengthening ties with specific regions. Strengthening ties with specific regions rather than international cooperation. Fine. So these are probably some reasons why which I like we can say that deglobalization is at bay. Now, the point is that when I say deglobalization is here, that means I agree to the fact that globalization was also there. So, if globalization was also there, that means what were probably the things that were happening, because of which I'm saying that globalization is also, or globalization was there. So, how do you know that globalization was there? See, globalization was there. One such evidence to this is that supply chains were very strong. That means if any product is needed, probably that is present anywhere in the any of the respective country, what is going to happen? This is going to lead to what? Globalized supply chains, and these globalized supply chains have led to what? Interconnectedness of economies. Interconnectedness of economies. Other than that, there has been a lot of FDI that has also taken place. That means foreign direct investment. Now, these foreign direct investment has also led to what? Economic integration and interdependence. Also, there are facts that we have also witnessed. There were various collaborations that happened with respect to research and development. Other than that, there have been cross border movement of people also. So you can say there was a shared culture that we have also witnessed. And you also know about US, or US culture is also known as what? Melting pot culture. Why? Because intermixing. So these are the reasons because of which we can say that globalization was there, and now the world is witnessing deglobalization, and deglobalization has been because of the certain factors that we have discussed. Fine. Okay. Here you can also add that the various multinational companies, MNCs, are having their plants. You can find their plants in the various territories. For example, Apple, Microsoft. Then you have plants in the various countries. Yeah. For example, is Apple. Then you have you can say the brand of Coca-Cola also, etc. Likewise, many of them are there. So I have just taken a few examples. Okay. Okay, so there is this next article here. The next article says that why were surrogacy rules modified? So why is this here in news? So what happened is that the Union Government of India has modified the surrogacy regulation rules, and under this rule, what the modification that has been brought in the surrogacy rules? The modification that has been brought to surrogacy rule has provided what? relief. And relief to who? Relief to married couples. Relief to married couples. And why? Because of or with respect to with respect to uh, medical complications. And what was the need of bringing such modification to the rules? So the rules that have been modified is under what is under the surrogacy regulation rules 2022. So this provides what? Modification or providing relief to married couples with medical complications. And what is the amendment that have been brought? So the revision revokes the March 2023 amendment. And what is that amendment that has been revoked? Is that prohibited use of donor gametes in surrogacy. So this has been revoked. Fine. Okay. So now the point is, what is the new rule talking about, or what are the new amendments that have been brought in? So the new amendments are first key provision of the new amendment is, or what is the new amendment saying? See, they are saying that on March 14, 2023, surrogacy rules was amendment for what? To stipulate what? Donor gamete or donor X could not be used for gestational surrogacy. Of an intending couple. One rule is this. Now the second rule is what? That this has now been amended. That means this has now been amended, and amended to what? Now this has been amended by a notification which was brought by Ministry of Housing and Family Welfare. And what has this amendment brought? This has allowed married couples. This has allowed the married couples. Initially it was this. That means they were not allowed to use donor X for gestational surrogacy. And now what has happened? This has allowed married couples to use donor gamete. And if they are allowed to use donor gamete, what is the condition? The condition is that a district magistrate would certify what? That either the husband or the wife, yani either of the spouse, suffer from a medical condition. So this is only possible. That means this would be only allowed to married couples to use donor gametes only if the district magistrate is certifying that either of the spouse is facing what? Medical issues. Either of the spouse is facing medical issues. Fine. Now, the other notification has implied that what? That the child to be born through surrogacy must have at least one gamete from intending parent. Other than this also implies, or this notification is also implying what? That a married couple, whether both partners, that both the partners, or you can say the married couples, are unable to use their gametes, they can opt for surrogacy. Now, since I'm talking about surrogacy in country like India, that means here, the woman who is carrying the baby, how will she be seen at? So they have also said what? They have said that this regulation that has been brought for the surrogacy rules does not allow single women to access surrogacy services. That means who can actually have the surrogacy service? That means only widows or divorcees can undergo surrogacy using their own egg. So single women, no, only widows and divorcees. Fine. Now, there are other many issues and legal challenges we have. And what are those? For example, what about the people who are coming from LGBTQ community? And what about for people who are in live-in? And what about for people, who are single? That means single parenting, etc. Fine. Okay. Now the point is, what is Supreme Court's say? What is just a minute? Okay. So the point is, what is Supreme Court's say on this? Now the Supreme Court of India has intervened a case, and what is that case? So the Supreme Court of India has intervened a case which involved a woman, and what was that case about? She was suffering from some kind of syndrome, and she was, because she was suffering from that syndrome, she was unable to produce her eggs. So she was unable to produce her eggs for surrogacy. So what happened was that since she was suffering from some kind of syndrome and she was unable to produce her own egg, so based on that she challenged the 2023 amendment. And what did she said? She said that that regulation is actually preventing her from using surrogacy. That means the regulations that were present that time, that were preventing her using the method of surrogacy. And since she was suffering from that syndrome, so it was not possible for her to produce her own eggs. So she wanted to go to surrogacy, but she was not able to. So preventing from using surrogacy for what to become a parent. Now, what happened was that this amendment was contrary to what Surrogacy Act 2021. So now she was suffering from a medical condition. So it was not natural for her to, conceive, or the medical condition was actually preventing her from natural pregnancy. Fine. So what happened was that the government argued that the law requires what, a genetic connection between the child and parent. uh, Only that is only possible if there is a connect that need to be maintained between the parent and the child. So what did government said, that this is only possible if if the donor eggs were used. That means um, if the donor, that means if the woman is herself using her eggs. But in this case what happened was that if she's going for surrogacy, that means the eggs will be of the donor person. That means the donor eggs will be there. So the connect between the child and the parent will not be there, because the eggs that are being used is of donor, who is the other person. So this was the government's take on this. Now what happened was that finally the court indicated what, that the government was reconsidering the amendment after acknowledging what, the court's observation, especially concerning what, the use of, especially concerning use of donor gametes by married couples. Fine. So this was about the new amendments, the new regulations that have been brought in for surrogacy. Moving on to the next article. Okay, so Tata's plan to list EV business. EV is your electric vehicle. Now, IPO likely in 12 to 18 months. Listing part of investment monetization plan. Fine. Now, see what is happening is that Tata Passenger Electric Mobility Limited, that is your TPEML. When you'll read the article, you'll find it is here. So, TPEML, that is Tata Passenger Electric Mobility Limited. This is India's largest EV manufacturer and largest EV manufacturer regarding what? This is aiming at $1 to billion IPO, that is initial public offering, IPO. So TPEML, that is your Tata Passenger Electric Mobility Limited, which is India's largest electric vehicle manufacturer, is aiming at $1 to 2 billion initial public offering. So this is what your article is all about. Now, what you need to do here is that firstly, you should know what are IPOs, because I'm saying that this is the largest EV manufacturer which are aiming at $1 to 2 billion initial public offering. So you should know what is an IPO. What are IPO all about? So what is IPO? You must have done it in economics. So IPO is a process regarding what, through which a company raises funds, and this fundraising is happening through what, or through, how? By offering shares to the public. uh, and how is this share offered to the public? Through companies listed in stock exchange. So TPEML, largest EV manufacturer, aiming at $1 to 2 billion IPO, and for that you should know what is an IPO. So IPO is a process through which company raises funds, and how? By offering shares. Shares to who? To the public. And how? By listing the companies in the stock exchange. Now, if getting, or if filing into IPO, or is this process that easy? That means it's just something that came overnight to you, that okay, fine, I'm going to start a company and then I'm going to have these IPOs. So is it that easy, or can this happen so quickly? So yes or no. So let's discuss how this is eventually going to happen. Now, is it possible for all the companies to go for IPO? So what need to happen, or what need to, how this thing need to take place is that if you want to have an IPO, for that the company need to file its offer document. Company need to file its offer document, and this offer document with respect to who? With SEBI. Fine. Now, this offer document should have what? All relevant information. And this relevant information is regarding what? That means, when I said that there's an offer document that uh, need to be filed with the SEBIs, that means what is the relevant information that need to be there in the offer document? So all the relevant information should be about the company, should be there. And what are those relevant information? For example, what are the projects that you have been working on, the financial details of the company. Other than that, what is the object of raising money and the term of the issue. So this probably could be your MCQ for the prelims also, that if a company is going for IPO, that means how is the process going to take place. So it's not something that happens to you overnight, that okay, tomorrow I'm going to be who someone who is going to, a businessman or whatsoever. So you get a startup, you have your startup, and then you start thinking about IPO. No, things are not going to take place that easy. Why? Because you need to have an offer document, and this offer document need to be filed to SEBI, sorry, file to SEBI, and that offer document need to have all relevant information about the company with respect to the projects, with respect to the financial details of the company, with respect to the object of raising money, because you are going for what, funds, right? So object of raising money, issue term of issue, etc. Fine. Now is it possible for, see, this is what I'm telling you. When you read the article, you'll find here about how IPOs are eventually operating. So what you need to know is that is raising IPO that easy, or can anyone think about IPO that easily? Is everything that going to be that easy? So okay, now what is it all about? How, or is raising IPO this easy? Fine. So if you see, the IPOs can only be raised, firstly, what, the company must have what, a net tangible assets of at least what, 3 crores. Then the net worth should be of 1 crore, and in each of the preceding 3 full years. Each of the preceding 3 full years. Other than that, there should be a minimum average pre-tax profit of rupees 10 crores in at least 3 of the immediate preceding 5 years. Now the point is that you have this price of the shares. So how do the pricing of the shares have been decided, or is there any issue which is coming in deciding the share price? So how does that happen? So who fixes the price of the share? First, the thing is this. So what happens is, the per share price of public issue is fixed by the issuer, and this issuer is sharing is actually having this per share price in consultation with merchant banker. So here if you see, in actually fixing the price of the share, you find what SEBI does not play a role. So very important that when the price of the share is being fixed, this is done by the issuer in consultation with the merchant banker, and SEBI is not playing any role. Fine. Okay. Now the point is that why do even they are thinking about IPOs? That means there are many startups who eventually grew up and turned out into big businesses. Now the point is that why do we even require IPO? That means why do companies are opting for IPOs? What is the need? So firstly, it is, what is the need for IPOs? Do you people have any idea what is the need of IPOs? What is the need of IPO? What is the need for IPOs? Yes, absolutely, to raise funds. But what is the point raising fund? That means what will you do after raising the funds? Yes, Amulya. Funds for running the company? No, no, you went out of track over here. It's not about, see, what do you think, when Tata plans to list EV business, that means Tata doesn't have the money to run the company? No, 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 it's not about that. It is actually to raise fund, which you have correctly said, or you can say raise capital. And when they raise capital, what happens is they diversify and broaden their sharehold base. Now, when they raise capital and they diversify and broaden sharehold base, other than that, what happens is that this eventually helps in growth and expansion of the company. And how? Through share capital. Fine. So, in this article, you had to know about what are IPOs, how are IPOs issued. Eventually, who, like, not all can think about IPOs. Then, who are the companies who can think about IPOs? Then, how does the fixing of or fixing the price of the share takes place, etc. Now, the next article talks about EV makers in a bind over subsidies as FAME 2 expires on March 31. Now, firstly, you should know what is FAME 2. So, FAME is all about faster adoption and manufacturing of EVs, that is your electric vehicles. Now, when they say that the FAME 2 scheme is what has happened is that the manufacturers will not be able to claim the benefits of what? They'll not be able to claim the benefits of their unsold inventory beyond it. So, what is happening is that electric two, three wheeler manufacturers are sitting on a stockpile of unsold vehicle for which they will not be able to claim subsidy under FAME 2 scheme, which ends on March 31. They have been offering what? Steep discounts in the hope of exhausting inventories before March 31. That means they are going to face an issue of what? Unsold inventory are there, and they'll not be able to get what? Subsidy under the FAME 2, which is going to end on March 31. So now the point is, you should know about FAME, that is faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. Other than that, you should start with the concept of that why is there even need for EVs? Why are EVs needed? That means what is the need of EVs? So see, for I guess past so many months there have been articles about environmental degradation, environmental protection, and that means what need to be done for the benefit or for the well-being of the environment. So first what need to be done is, or what why do we need EVs is in order to reduce vehicular pollution. So reducing vehicular pollution. Now, how is this going to happen? So, in order to reduce the vehicle pollution, you need to, work towards what? Towards the internal combustion engines. Now, these internal combustion engines are going to what? These internal combustion engines, that means your ICE, they immensely contribute towards what? Deteriorating air quality in the deteriorating air quality in the Indian cities. Now, if you want to do what? If you want to meet the net zero targets, net zero targets, you need to work towards what? You need to, bring or boost the electric vehicles. So meeting the net zero targets, and what is that? Firstly, India is committed towards what? Net zero carbon emission. India is committed towards net zero carbon emission. and this is only you can say that this is possible through adoption of to faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles. Now, other than that, why is EVs required? See, we have been using all the fuels. That means the high crude oil prices have uh, had a great impact. So, high crude oil prices. So, if the prices are getting high, that means high crude oil prices. So, what need to be done is we need to switch towards EVs. Now, when we know that there's a lot of vehicular pollution that is happening, this internal combustion engine is leading to deterioration of air quality, and if we need to meet the net zero target, because India is committed towards net zero carbon emission, we need to switch towards EVs. Now, if we need to switch towards EVs, the point is that how you are going to promote EVs. That means what need to be done for the promotion of EVs. So the Ministry of Heavy Industries formulated what your Fame India scheme, and what did they do? So out of the total budgetary support, that means the total budget of back in 2019, what was there, 86% of the funds had been allotted for or allocated for demand incentives. That means in order to create demand, create demand of what? Create demand of EVs. 86% of the budgetary allocation have been thought of. Okay, now budget, fine. What else? The government or the country is doing. So this fame phase has also talked about what? Supporting 7,000 e-buses, three wheelers, close to 55,000 of e-four wheeler passenger cars, four wheeler passenger cars. Then you have close to 10 lakh E2, that means your two wheelers on road. Now, you must have also heard about what PLI, that is production linked incentives. That means what? That the government approves what? Just a minute. Okay. PLI, that means your production linked incentives. So, government has approved what? PLI, production linked incentive scheme, for what? For manufacturing of advanced chemistry cell, that is ACC. And for what reason? To bring down what? prices of the batteries. And batteries for what? Because when you'll be going for EVs, electric vehicles, you'll be using batteries, right? So advanced chemistry cells. So for what? To bring down prices of batteries in the country. And this drop in the price will result in cost reduction of electric vehicles. You also understand that EVs are operating through the batteries, and now if you bring down the cost of the batteries, what is going to happen? If the cost of the batteries are brought down, so what is going to happen? Ultimately, the manufacturing will get a little bit easier, and for that matter, what will happen is this will eventually lead to what? Increase in the manufacturing of electric vehicles. Now, we have two kinds of this environmental friendly vehicles. What are those? Some are operated through battery, and some are operated through hydrogen fuel cell. Now, how is this happening? So when I'm talking about PLI, that is your production linked incentives, how is this production linked incentive operating? This is how is this operating? So what is happening is that uh, there are two kind of environmental friendly vehicles that are going to operate. One is your EVs through batteries. Now, when I talk about EVs operating through batteries, and then you have EVs operating through hydrogen fuel cells. And so EVs, batteries, hydrogen fuel cells, they are, they all are committed towards what? Zero emission vehicles. Which are operating under PLI. That is your production linked incentives. Now the point is that, see, we all have to pay GST, right? So when we are paying GST, one thing that that could be done is, if you lead to a reduction in GSTs, then we can also work towards it. So what happens over the next thing is, okay, so what else, or what government has done more towards promotion of EVs? So reduction in GST rates. GST on electric vehicles had been reduced from 12% to 5%. Uh, what else? GST on chargers, GST on charging stations have been reduced from 18% to 5%. Now, if you see, reduction in GST is going to be one of the big step. Why? Because the point where you are facing 12% of GST, that has been reduced to 5% of GST. Now, GST on chargers and charging stations have also been reduced from 18% to 5%. Now, there has been also what exemptions regarding what, see, the Ministry of Road Transport and Highway, that is Ministry of Road Transport and Highway have announced what, that the battery operated vehicles will be given what, green license. Green license regarding what, uh, who will be given what permit requirements. So they would be given a green license, and this is what, this is a kind of a green license plate. Green license plate. And how is ultimately this, just a minute. Green license plate, and this will lead to what, this will give you permit requirements. So, Ministry of Road Transport and Highway has also talked about providing green license plate, which will eventually bring in what, they will bring in exemptions with regarding to permits. In certain states, they have also talked about what, that they will be issuing notifications regarding what, to waive off road taxes on EVs, waive of road taxes on EVs, which will help in reducing the initial cost of EV. So, which will help in reducing initial cost of EVs. Other than that, they have also talked about what, amendment in uh, model building bylaws. That means there are amendments that have been brought in model building bylaws 2016. And what are those model building bylaws 2016? These model building bylaws are talking about what, they are talking about establishing charging stations, and charging stations and infrastructure with respect to model building bylaws establishing charging stations and infrastructure in private and commercial buildings. Fine. Okay. Now there can be one question in your mind, that if this much is done to bring a push to electric vehicles, then where is the point that we are lagging, or what is the reason why, instead of this much of contribution from the government side, electric vehicles are still not at boom? So firstly, you can say that there has been a huge price difference with respect to what with respect to EV buyers. That means this is somewhere acting as a discouraging factor with respect to what discouraging factor with respect to you can say buying of electric vehicles. Why? Because EVs eventually turn out to be expensive. So this is one reason. Then firstly, when they are turning out to be expensive, then there are infrastructure that is required. Why? Because we have these petrol pumps, but what about the charging stations, etc. So, and what about the electricity that will be required? Because that for that, a lot of power need to be generated. Then that need to be distributed also. So again, that is big task. So second is that will the charging stations that are the stations going to be utilized or not? So the next factor becomes a issue in the promotion of EVs is your charging infrastructure. So first is with respect to um, the expense of electric vehicles. Second is with respect to the charging stations. um, Third is, see, I have just told you that it is about hydrogen fuel cells, and at the same time you have battery cells. So third thing is about the batteries, or you can say these kind of lithium, cobalt, nickel, metal that has been used for generation or creation of these batteries. Now for that you require these materials or these metals. So India is what India is heavily dependent on imports. So this is again acting as one of the drawback. Why? Because India is heavily dependent on imports with respect to what? With respect to lithium, with respect to cobalt, and with respect to nickel. So lithium, cobalt, nickel, they are acting as what? With respect to them, India is a big importer. So when India is going to import them, what is eventually going to happen? Now this will turn out as a huge backlog. Why? Because we'll ultimately end up importing them, and when we import them, ultimately the cost of manufacturing the electric vehicles will increase. Fine. So okay, now we have got to know the base requirement. Why? Because the global value chain need to be connected. Why? Because we need these batteries in order to manufacture the electric vehicles. Other than that, see, other than that, one another important aspect is about manpower. And it's not only about manpower, it's about skilled manpower. Fine. So skilled manpower with respect to what? With respect to the manufacturing of EV vehicles, we again require them, and we are facing shortage with respect to what? The skilled manpower for manufacturing of EVs. Fine. Okay, so somewhere or other, if you analyze a bit, you'll find what? That this all is leading to what? A lot of fiscal burden. Fine. Okay, now let's move on to the next article. 10,000 genome project completed, says government. So, what is the article talking about? The Department of Biotechnology on Tuesday officially announced what the completion of 10,000 genome project, an attempt to create a reference database of whole genome sequence out of India. So while India first sequenced a complete human genome in 2006, creating a database that is representative of India's population diversity is seen as a key step to being able to learn about genetic variants that are unique to India's population groups and use that to customize drugs and therapies. Now, about 20 institutions across India are involved in the project, with IISC, Bangalore, and the Center for Cellular and Molecular Biology, Hyderabad, being the lead institutions coordinating the project. So, the Indian population of 1.3 billion consists of over 4,600 population groups, and many of them are endogamous. So these factors have contributed to the genetic diversity of the current population. Now, what we need to do here is, since what is happening is that there's an attempt to create what, a reference database of whole genome sequence of India. So what are the researchers doing? So researchers have completed what, sequencing 10,000 healthy genomes from different regions of the country, and this under this what they have done is they have been representing 99 distinct population. Okay, now before I do more of the analysis of this, what you need to know is that what is a genome, and then you should know, since I've said that this is 10,000 genome project completed. So what is a genome? Then what is genome sequencing, and ultimately how is this even essential for us? So what is a genome? So genome is an organism's what, complete set of DNA. So a genome is a organism's set of DNA, and this complete set of DNA is collection of what, is a collection of all genes, and this collection of all genes and the regions between the genes contained in the 23 pairs of chromosomes. Now, see, what's happening is that this each chromosome, that means this you are having this 23 pairs of chromosomes. So each chromosome is what, is a stretch of DNA string, and this DNA string is what, that means the human genome consists of 23 different strings. Fine. If you have done your science, you will be knowing about the names, that is the building block of the basis, that is your A, the building blocks of your this, yeah, the building blocks are also called as nucleotides, that are your A, C, G, T. That means adenine, cytosine, guanine, and thymine. Okay, so these ACGT, now they all are arranged and repeated million times in different combinations and for what purpose? To make all of our 23 chromosomes. Okay, so this is what a genome is. Now the point is, the database is being created, and this database is for what? This database is going to act as a reference database for whole genome sequence out of India. So why is genome sequencing essential? Why is it important? So genome sequencing, firstly, it is important. Why? Because this helps in diagnosis of diseases, which will further, once you diagnose the disease, this will help in treatment of the disease. So diagnosis of disease and treatment of disease. Why? Because it will help you in evaluation of what the rare disorders. Fine. Other than that, it will also help in what? Drug development, because once you get to know the disease, you will know the treatment which need to be done. It will also help in what? Drug development. It will help in testing and leading to development of effective drugs. Development of personalized and effective drugs. This shall also help in what? Forensics. Why? Because genome sequencing will eventually help in identifying the suspects with respect to what? In criminal investigation, and also what? Investigating what? The cases of disputed parentage. Fine. So with respect to genome sequencing, you should know this. Now, okay. Now let's move on to the next article. Okay, so the next article says what? Grow plants on government land to earn green credit. Now, what is green credit? You should know about green credit. See, what is happening is that the union government has notified what? A government notification has said that a company or an individual can use government lands for plantation to generate a green credit. This credit can be utilized for reporting under environmental, social, and governance leadership indicators, or under corporate social responsibility, a government notification said. Now, what is a green credit? A green credit refers to a unit of an incentive provided for specified activity delivering a positive impact on the environment. This is a part of special program to leverage a competitive market-based approach for green credit to incentivize the environmental action of various stakeholders. This credit can be traded on a dedicated exchange. Rules for this mechanism were notified last November, and now government has come out with a methodology for the calculation of green credit with respect to tree plantation. Now, here what you need to know about is you need to know about green credit. So, what is a green credit? So, it is basically a unit provided for a specified activity that is delivering a position or positional impact on the environment. That means it is kind of what reward points. So what is a green credit? It is kind of what is a green credit? It is a kind of reward point, and reward point with respect to what? For activities with respect to tree planting, water conservation, sustainable agriculture. So these are acting as what? Reward point. And for what? For activities like tree planting, water conservation, sustainable agriculture, and also for pollution reduction. Now you don't need to confuse green credit with respect to what? Carbon credit. No, carbon credit is different. Don't confuse carbon credit with green credit. Fine. Now in the article it is said what? That the government has came out with certain methodologies for what? For calculation of green credit. Now what are the calculation with respect to the green credit, etc., that you need to know. Since I have less of time, so this much I'll be covering in green credit. Next, moving on to the new article. Domestic production of chips is next big space. That is who is talking about this? This is being talked by the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. And what are they saying? They are saying that domestic production of chips is next big space. Now, when I talk about chips, then it is basically referring to your semiconductors. So in this article, what you need to do is you need to know what are semiconductors. Then you should know what is India's and global contribution towards this semiconductor. Then what is the scenario with respect to the manufacturing of semiconductors, because Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology is talking about it that it's a next great space. Now when they say that it's a next great space, that means we need to formulate policies with respect to what? The policies with respect to manufacturing of semiconductors. Now if I am going with the manufacturing of semiconductors, the government has to make efforts towards what? Building this industry. So this is what you need to know about. So, one such scheme which we have just done in electric vehicles is PLI, that is production linked incentives, which is again valid for the semiconductor industries over here also. That is one big policy of government of India. Fine. Okay, so this much for today. Any issues, Amulya? Okay, is it clear? Okay, thank you so much.